my sons, who are both artists but have some language background, took the entry-level linguistics course that is natural and mathematical sciences and did well, enjoyed it, thought it was interesting. So when students are like, oh, I don't want to take anything too mathy or sciencey, I'll suggest that. But I found that when I was advising in art history, that art historians don't necessarily do well with that kind of class. I have no idea why, but I've learned not to suggest that linguistics class to art historians because it just didn't do. They just didn't do very well.
Interesting.
So I did have to be aware, and I would only suggest Dutch if someone was would tell me I'm just not very good with foreign languages or something like that. And I'd say, well, I've heard that this one is, pretty easy to learn. So that's why I would suggest that. Normally I would go more of trying to pique their interest in something, different and new and exciting. Already in new student orientation, I've talked 2 students into signing up for Haitian Creole. Because of Haiti has been in the news over the last few years because of the earthquake that they had there and things like that. People are aware of the need of, for people to know Haitian Creole because, they come here to the States for, refuge, or people have gone there to do, work with various organizations and things like that. And so they're intrigued by being able to communicate, with these people.
Mm-hmm.
So that, when I mentioned that, they, oh, that sounds interesting. And I have a little bit of a French background, and Haitian Creole is kind of related to French, but it's different. I'd like to learn that. So I always feel like victory. And another kid was, he's interested in going into physical therapy, and he wants to work in Eastern Europe. So I showed him the different languages that are taught in the Slavic languages department. He's like, Czech, yeah, that sounds really interesting. I'd like to take Czech. So, small class. I'm sure it's really, interesting and fascinating. You'll probably really enjoy it. So, yeah. So I always find those victorious moments.
Good. I like it. Actually, I guess I would like to ask more questions from DC.
Okay.
And you kind of mentioned about new advisor, like a few minutes ago, but what advice you would give to new academic advisors who are embarking on their first advising session?
They should not be afraid to ask the student questions. They should not be afraid to say, I don't know, let me get back to you on that, and then go find the answers to those questions. They should take lots of notes in their conversation with the student so that both they and the student, remember what was discussed. Yeah, I'd say those are probably, and maybe to realize that they probably know more than they think they do. So they should just jump in. But like I said, being willing especially to say, I don't know, let me get back to you, instead of making something up
Mm-hmm.
or trying to sound smart when they aren't really sure. No. Just admit that they're new, that's a new thing, it's a new question, take the question down, go seek the answers. I think students feel a lot more confident in an advisor if they are honest about not knowing the answer to a question, but that they will find out the right
Mm-hmm.
answer.
Yeah, that's great advice, I think. Yeah, you mentioned about the student who got misadvised, and what kind of advice he got actually misadvised.
Well, he swore that the advisor had told him that he had to take Spanish, that he couldn't choose any other language, and I couldn't imagine an advisor, even in university division, telling him that. But then I heard months later another criminal justice student telling me that someone had told her the same thing, and I think I don't know. It must have been somebody in university division or one of the offices that see new students who had not gotten trained very well, or just they were just setting forth their opinion, because that wasn't true. And unfortunately, some students are willing to just take at face value what some person says, unless they are dissatisfied enough to go get a second opinion. They may not know any better. So I try not to badmouth any of my colleagues. If a student says, well, I got really terrible advice from so and so, I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, I've heard that advisor's pretty bad or something like that. No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be like, oh well, I'm sorry to hear that, or I'm sorry you feel like, you didn't get the advice that you wanted or needed. Sometimes that's why students don't come to see me, at least right away, is because they feel that their first advising experience in another unit was not satisfying. So they assume that all advisors, no advisor is very good. And so they'll just, so the student will just muddle along by themselves. Instead of giving a new advisor the benefit of the doubt and thinking, well, maybe this one will be better. So I'm always kind of sad when I hear that. I'm like, you probably could have done a lot better if you'd gone to get some more advice. Just, choose a different advisor. Find somebody, get a referral, to someone who has a good reputation, like me. And, so that you can maybe feel like you're getting better advice. Don't just... Because you're right, students... if we don't know the rules, some students really don't know the rules.
Yeah, actually, I'm wondering, students actually can name advisors they want to get advice? Or?
Sometimes they can at least, get direction from a different advisor. Yeah, they can ask for a different advisor. Sometimes they are too shy to, or think that sounds rude, or just don't, again, think, oh, all advisors are the same. Why should I look for a different one? My children will send their friends to me, no matter what their major is. If a friend is, expressing, dissatisfaction or just confusion, my kids will say, here, go see my mom. She can at least help you, get on the track that you should go on. And colleagues, I'm meeting with a gentleman tomorrow who wants to come back to school. He's been out of school for a long time, but he never finished his degree. And he met a colleague of mine in another office. And she said, oh yeah, go talk to Krystie, she can help you. So he emailed me, and so I'm willing to sit, and I'll give him an honest answer too. I'll look at his foreign record. Sometimes people who were in school a long time ago and left, sometimes they left because they were really bad students. They were too young and stupid to know that this bad record will follow them for the rest of their lives. So I have to, I have to tell them, well, you want to go to the school of business? They're not going to accept you with this kind of record, even if it was a long time ago. So I try to give them honest, but then I try to give them options too. But you might be able to do this or study this. Or,
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't looked at this guy's record yet. Hopefully it's not that bad. But
Is it kind of your strategy, giving option when you're speaking something, could be offending, or like, I know, maybe this doesn't work for you, but maybe this would be good for you. And
oh yeah, letting them know that they have options usually makes them, feel better, and also gives them, something to work with, a plan. There rarely are there no options. Sometimes the options will require them to do a bit of work, or stepping back in order to go forward. For example, preparing for to take the proper math class, they have to take an algebra class before. Algebra won't count for the hours that they need to graduate, but it is necessary if they want to take, pass the math class that will count. And some students, they feel like it's a waste of time or money to take that algebra class, and they're like, oh, I'll just try to get through this class, and they withdraw, fail, withdraw. The pattern is really bad. Rather than just taking my advice and preparing and then being ready, to go in. So, giving them the options. It's really up to them to take, whatever options they have.
Mm-hmm.
I do try to help them, but this happens more often than I would like. A student takes a class their last semester that they need in order to graduate, and they fail it. And they can't graduate until they fulfill. This happens too often to name. But they've gone home already. They don't plan to come back to IU Bloomington, but they still need to fulfill this requirement. So then I try to help them to find a program near their home, a school that has something similar that will allow them to take that and fulfill the requirement. If they have a job or something like that, I can't help that. I'm like, if you want to finish your degree, you have to finish this requirement, and you have to figure out a way to do that. So, like I said, I'm willing to go the extra mile and try to help them to find, something. We have a tool on the IU Bloomington website from the admissions office called a credit transfer service,
Mm-hmm.
Where we can find many schools across the country that students have transferred courses from. And we can look up a particular class and see whether it matches something that we have here. It's even easier if they're in the state and or live near one of the regional campuses, one of the IU regional campuses, because we have access to their catalogs and information, and I can look and see, look at their scheduled classes and see what's being offered and suggest, if you take this up there at IU Northwest, it will count towards this requirement here.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that all the time. Maybe not all advisors are willing to, do that kind of research for students,
Mm-hmm.
but I do that. But then it's up to the student to register in the class,
Yeah.
take it and do well. We have a student who was given great advice in our department in criminal justice. There are 2 advisors in criminal justice because it's a large department. 2 years ago, she was given advice, the same really good advice 3 times. You need to send this email to the recorder's office so that you can go on the new math requirements, and you have this much time to do this in, and she didn't, and she still hasn't graduated because she can't fulfill the math requirement.
Why?
The old math, she just cannot get the grade that she needs to be able to fulfill the requirement. And if she had taken the advisor's advice, she would be graduated now.
Why she didn't follow the advice? Because
I don't know. She just didn't realize, I don't think she realized that it was that simple, that she just send this email. I mean, all she had to do was send this email to another office, to the recorder's office, and it was her responsibility to do that. And she just, you cannot twist somebody's arm to make them do things sometimes.
it's very interesting because, graduation is such a big issue, and so she's not graduated yet, and what she is doing.
Well, she's not on campus anymore, hasn't been on campus for a year. She's just trying to find that same, it's a math course, that same course near home to take and pass. But the problem is, if she's taking a course from something other than an IU campus, she has to get a C to be able to transfer that to IU Bloomington. Anything lower than a C, and it's not going to transfer. And she can't even get more than a D plus in the class. It's just, yeah, it's really frustrating. And the window for being able to go on the new requirements is gone. That ended a year ago.
That's hard. Do you think, what are the reasons for the kind of student to,
It's really hard to say. I think a lot of students, they have so many other things going on in their lives. They have family issues and relationships, and all those work, all those things that crowd into their heads and their lives. And this thing here may seem so small, or just if they don't take care of it right away, they'll be like, oh, I'll get to that later, and then they forget. And like I said, all the other life issues are so much louder in their heads. And I really think that that's why things like that happen.
How would you do, try to help that kind of student?
Short of there's really not a whole lot that we can do for students. There comes a point when they either have to get it done, or they might have to go a few years and mature and then come back to it. Like I said, we can only do so much, but we can't make them do things. I have had students who have left campus for several years. I had one student who just could not get over the hump of finishing this last couple of classes, and she said it was just a mental block. She said it was because she didn't know what she was going to do next, that she just lost her interest in finishing. And so she left campus for 3 years, went home, worked, came back this year, and she finished. And I was just like, oh. I have another student who's kind of disappeared, had some family issues that happened, and she and her sister both have kind of dropped out for a while. But I feel confident that I will see them come back in 2 or 3 years and get done, because I've seen it happen before. So they know I'm still here.
That's good. That's, I guess, benefit of, I don't know, having the same employee for long, and I guess not every school is like that. I'm not so familiar with U.S. System, but it's,
Well, one of the things in the College of Arts and Sciences, a few years ago, when I started in advising, some of the advisors really they belonged to the departments, and then some of us were paid by the College of Arts and Sciences. And then there was a big budget crisis in 2009,
mm-hmm.
And the number of advisors shrank. People were retiring and things like that, and the College of Arts and Sciences ran into a problem of being able to spread the advisors that they had across the needy departments. So they did something pretty radical. New dean came in, and they took all the advisors in the College of Arts and Sciences, including the ones that had belonged within departments. They just said, we're taking all of these, we're going to pay all of them from the College of Arts and Sciences, and then we will place them where we need them. Oh, it caused a big uproar. Departments were unhappy, some advisors were unhappy. Some advisors were thrilled because they'd been abused within their departments,
Oh my gosh.
doing secretarial things when they shouldn't have to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a big reorganization. So now there are times when advisors get shuffled around from one department to another, without the departments having any say. It's just a matter of numbers and making sure advisors don't have too many advisees. In 2009, I was given another department. So I had 4 departments. And then just 2 or 3 months ago, there was advisors were coming and going, and the College of Arts and Sciences said, you have too many students. We are taking this one department, the one that I'd been given in 2009, and we're going to give it to this other advisor, and then you'll be back to your 3, and you need to move your office stuff to your one office, and just, but the department that was taken and given to another department, they weren't very happy at first. They're like, what? You're taking Krystie away? Whoa! Yeah, they weren't very happy about that. I'm like, sorry, I get my orders. I have to do this. So sometimes they don't have the continuity that they would like. I was actually asked which department would